this is new. Here's the thing. I've been thinking a lot about shame and how it controls my life. I've been thinking a lot about shame and realizing I have a lot of it. And also realizing that you probably have a lot of it, but that the thing about shame is that we don't talk about it and we hide it. So I wouldn't know if you had any and you wouldn't know if I had any. I have all this shame and I feel like it's like eclipsed who I am as a person and started to control everything I do and how I act and what I say. I've been at points like this in my life before and have gotten out of them, and a lot of it is thanks to Brene Brown, who I'm going to quick talk about. So none of the credit goes to me. Hey. So Brene Brown is the person that kind of first taught me about how to handle shame. And there's two quotes I want to talk about. The first one, if we can share our story with someone who responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't survive. This is what we want. No shame. So this one was a really big deal to me. Then the other one, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. These two are kind of like the basis. The first one really, like, I kid you not, I have seen it be true over and over again. It doesn't make it any easier when you're like doing the showing up and being seen and like empathy and compassion and sharing all your inner secrets with like a compassionate, understanding, empathetic, safe person, but it works. 2 years ago, I was figuring out my sexuality, which is something I'm like literally always figuring out and kind of has been an ongoing like difficult thing for me because there's a lot of shame attached and a lot of ambiguity attached. So it was not a great time in my life. I was realizing that I liked girls and it was terrifying and I didn't know what it meant, and I just literally had so much shame. I hid in my room for a week. Like, I did not leave my room except to go to the kitchen and get food and go to the bathroom. I missed classes. Like, it was really bad. I just ignoring phone calls, just crying a lot. Like, it was a really hard time for me. And it was all because I felt so ashamed of this part of myself. And I didn't know how to make that go away. It lasted for about a week. It was like really tough week. I realize also that this is relatively short for like a big existential crisis, but maybe I'll go into that later. We can talk about all about my coming out, my sexuality. It'll be great. And so I had been lying in bed for about a week, and it was Thursday night, and I remember just like being so done with the hiding and the shame and the feeling like I just hated who I am and all of these things. So thank God I had seen Brene Brown's TED Talk earlier on in my life, and just in this moment of like divine intervention, it popped into my head that shame can't survive in the light and shame can't survive being seen. And so I got up and decided that the next day, that Friday morning, I was going to call everyone I knew and I was going to tell them my big secret, and that was going to be that. And I don't know, I just decided, and I got up and I went to the sink and cleaned the gigantic mountain of dishes that had accumulated throughout the week. And that was like this symbolic like cleansing of me being ashamed. And it sounds so simple, but it was so not. It was just me deciding that I was not gonna hide it and that I was gonna actively expose it so that I could kind of kill that shame and make it like wither in the sunlight. I picture it as like this like vampire, and in the sun it like crinkles and disintegrates. It's really, I think, very original. So I got up and I like called people, and it was less catastrophic than I expected, and it was fine. And I still deal with like bits of shame about it, and that's a whole nother story, but I'm no longer hiding in my bed all the time. That's good. It works. I promise. I kind of feel like I'm at that point in my life again where I'm at a crossroads of like, am I gonna jump in with this or am I gonna kind of keep hiding? In a lot of ways, I think I censor who I am, and I think I'm really strategic about what I show. I don't like doing that, and I don't think that's a great fun way to live. It reminds me of this interview I saw. The two queens of the world, Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey, did an exit interview for the First Lady. And Michelle Obama, she talked about living out loud and how important that is right now. I'm gonna read you that because it's so like on the same vein as this. She's talking about basically the scrutiny and judgment that she faced as a First Lady and how she sort of came to terms with that. And then I thought, okay, well, let me live my life out loud so people can just see and then judge for themselves. And that's what I want young people to do. Just live your life. Live it out loud. Don't dial it back. Don't dilute it. Don't apologize for it. It speaks for itself. And I feel like that is really like, sounds so freeing and so relieving, and that's really what I'm going for. And what I think we all should kind of be aiming for, because no one wants to be trapped in this like strategy of like how to show up and how to be accepted, because that's a lot of work and it's exhausting, and no one deserves to like go through life as if it's a board game and there's right and wrong, and there is right and wrong, but it's not about calculating, it's about existing. So not only did Oprah and Michelle Obama talk about this, but Amanda Stenberg, who's an actress and just an amazing, inspirational, badass lady, talked about identity and how important it is to own and exist in your identities. And I think also kind of how hard that can be and how challenging that can be in society. And it was one of my favorite interviews I've like ever read, and I think she's so poignant and wise. And so she said, I mean, unfortunately or not unfortunately, take it as you will, when you are a marginalized person or a woman of color and or someone who's a part of the LGBTQ community, your acts become politicized just by being yourself, because we're not completely just accepting of all kinds of human beings. So it's been an interesting dynamic for me to navigate. By being myself, I'm doing something political. And that is so cool. By being myself, I am doing something political. I think that's such a powerful phrase. And that's what I'm hoping to do, is just be myself and live out loud and wash my dishes and be done with the shame and the questioning, and just make mistakes and be okay with it. This year, I'm trying to refuse to let shame dictate who I am and how I act and who I talk to and what I say and all these little things, because that's not a game I want to play anymore. And I would like really encourage all of you to like kind of think about that and think about where shame might be interrupting your life or controlling your life, what holds it has on you, and how can you break those chains. It's something I would love to talk about in the comments with anyone. Anything that resonated with you here, like I would love to have a conversation about this stuff, because it's what I'm always thinking about. And yeah, I also think this might be a thing I start to do, is like talk to my camera alone in my room. Because it's been kind of cool to be able to like verbally process all of this and hopefully like get some feedback on it. So feel free to subscribe to my channel, because I think I'm going to start having more conversations like this. That's about it for the day. Don't let shame dictate your life.